And welcome back. This week we have a very special episode in which we are doing a blind ranking of Commander hot takes from around the internet. I'm Levi.
I'm Jacoby.
And I'm Joe.
And this is the Thought Missile Show. Let's jump right in.
So, how have you been doing? I know that you've been doing some like wedding planning.
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, the summers for me personally are always kind of a weird time. It's kind of funny because for those of you who don't know, I was originally a teacher before going into my line of work now. And for the first 24 years of my life or so, like the summers were always like a time off or a little bit lighter load, things like that. As soon as you jump into the adult world, like it's just perpetual school year for like the next 30 years, 30 plus years running until you could potentially retire. Like it's wild.
Joke's on you, kids. This is your future.
It's rough. Like you're out here and you're just constantly working. And then like you might get a month of vacation if you're lucky. It's terrible, man. It is terrible.
Yeah.
It's rough.
I think that leads into like, what's some of the worst days that you've had so far as that?
I mean, some of these days in the office, it's not too bad because usually it's just like a high activity volume kind of a thing where I just have a lot of stuff to do, but it's things I know how to do. So it just takes a little bit longer to get done. As a teacher, the rough days in the office are so far-fetched and crazy because you're just dealing with a bunch of these just short humans that just act irrationally and you just never know what you're going to get.
I'm sorry. Did you just mean human? Because humans just act irrationally.
Did you really just
I-
box of chocolates me right now?
Yeah, except
You never know what you're gonna get.
Except you have kindergartners that scream like a bloody murder panic attack, and I'm like, oh my goodness, what's wrong? She's like, I blinked and I saw a dragon. Like, what are you doing?
One of them goes and gets like the best honors that they can get. The other flings shit.
Dude, every year, I don't know what it is. Every single year, we had what I would call shitgate, in which for some reason, one of the students would like take poop out of the toilet and write on the walls. It was always a different kid, but it was an annual tradition.
I want to imagine you walk up to the student that has like I blinked and I saw dragons. You just look at them and be like, it's okay. We'll go get your ADHD medication adjusted.
No. We need to dial back your LSD.
But the thing is, like, you joke about that, but like when you're a teacher, especially like in an elementary school, like you're kind of the people who diagnose all this stuff, that see it, because parents kind of go blind a little bit with their own kids. Oh, the way your kid's acting and the way they're behaving with their students, they might have something as far as like autism spectrum. We are the people who find these things.
Yeah, my parents actually found out that I had ADHD because I found out that I had a bad grade in my second grade class. And I, knowing how my parents would have freaked out, did what in my mind was rational. Have you ever seen Bugs Bunny when he was on the moon in that one episode of the Looney Tunes where he starts freaking out by twitching? Yeah, so I did that and my teacher thought I was having a seizure. The ambulance was called. I went to the hospital and they were like, yeah, nothing's wrong with your son. He might have ADHD.
Fair enough. For those that don't understand, like on how rough it is, especially like post-pandemic, whole different thing. Because all the kids like lost a year of like social skills and coming back to it, classroom management's terrible, just across the board. And I don't think that's going to get fixed until this whole realm of kids that were in it are phased out. But the most appropriate gift I've ever seen a teacher been given at Christmas time or the end of the trip was a $100 bar tab. And this wasn't like 2 Buffalo Wild Wings. This was like a local dive bar that does not serve food.
Here.
My bad. I know my kid sucks.
Here you go. Hope you don't already have alcoholism.
And I was like, this is appropriate. Like, yeah, straight up. You definitely need this. But it's so funny because sometimes like when I was in classes, like when you're going with like seating charts and things like that, it's almost like deck optimizing in which you're like, this is a nombo because these kids won't shut the hell up. So I've got to put them on the other side of the room, but this kid doesn't like this kid and they'll throw his shoes at him. Like you can't, and you'll go through and constantly redo the seating. We're like, how do I get this to set up perfectly so no one does anything?
It's the trick. You can't.
Yeah, it's miserable. Absolutely miserable. But With that said, like it does have its rewarding times, but there are just certain classes that are just nightmares. Kindergarten, especially because you have all these kids coming in blind. We have no data on any of them. So it's a lot of trial and error. I had one particular class in which they were so badly behaved that I couldn't get anything done. And I had a teacher come in, like I had the school psychologist come in to just check out the class and check on some behavior of the students. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to try my best to keep everything under control and micromanage the heck out of this. And I had like my two most problematic kids on opposite sides of the room to keep them far away from each other. And I spent the entire class literally walking back and forth, telling them to stop doing something, and then walking back to tell the other person to stop doing something, and just getting my steps in across the gym the whole time. And by the time we're lining up, I have one kid slipping and falling and crying in the corner, both kids doing something they're not supposed to do at the same time, and a fourth kid here in the corner of the room for some reason didn't think he could ask me if he could go to the bathroom, just peeing in the corner for no reason. And this is when the school psychologist walks in and just sees all of that. And she's like, oh my goodness. I'm like, yes, this is a daily thing.
On the regular.
Every time.
I can't ask you to pee. I'm going to do it.
And I was like, every time, if you ask me to go to the bathroom, you can go. I don't care. I don't get paid enough to care. Like, go ham. But, like, just don't pee in the corner like an animal.
So, Jacob, which one of your coworkers peed in the corner?
None of them, thankfully.
Sounds like a very, very healthy work environment.
Oh, no.
In comparison, for sure.
Unfortunately, in my line of work, if my coworkers were doing with the story I'm going to tell, my coworkers are peeing in the corner, they're peeing in everyone's corner.
That's an impressive stream. That must have chugged a gallon of Gatorade.
And here I thought you said that nobody peed.
Said if someone pees in the corner, pees in everyone's corner.
We're doing the piss Olympics. I'm not just going to paint this one. I'm going to paint it all.
It's hard not to paint the entire section of water in piss when it just, Woo.
Ah, I see.
Bit of an ADHD thought. Do you think anyone's ever tried to like document for Guinness records like the farthest pee
Yes.
shot?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
But
100%.
then you have to have this like documented with like, someone from Guinness Book of World Records.
Yes.
Yes, from Guinness, the beer company.
Yeah. Well, do you know why? Do you know why Guinness has the records? Because at the time, pubs were doing a lot of like trivia competitions to get people in. So they wanted their beers to be associated with a lot of those trivia questions. So they put the sponsorship for the world records. That's where it came from.
Yeah, you're talking about a beer company and trying to measure how long someone can fucking piss.
My issue with that though is like similar to like when you drug test somebody, if you've ever been drug tested for like athletics or whatever, you can't just like turn around and just hope something happens. Like you have to kind of stare and make sure that you're not.
And guess what? If someone's going to be doing that, they're going to have no fucking qualms. Yeah. The person who's probably going to have the qualms is the judge, and they're just going to be like, yeah, another day.
Yeah, but like imagine being that guy, like officially from the Guinness World Record. What are you doing today? I'm staring at someone's penis. Like,
I'm just gonna put this out there. There's like a bunch of those that involve people being completely naked during the task.
World records are just a bizarre thing, but
also you don't necessarily have like a doctor be able to be like, "Yep, that's a penis."
Not even that. Just literally, okay, your penis can't cross this line, and they just look out into the distance and be like, "Cool, you've pissed yes far." It's not like it's gonna be a 4 or 5 minute thing.
At a distance.
This isn't the world's longest stare. This is the world's longest piss.
But I'm also just thinking of like the people who failed to get that world record. And they'll just be like, hold on. I just need to drink more Guinness. I'll get it there.
Hold up.
Imagine put it on your resume, like getting the silver medal. Like,
I only pissed second best.
Oh my goodness.
Doctor, I need a remeasure. I think that droplet went an inch farther than you think it went.
That being a judge for the Guinness World Record, that has got to be one of the weirdest jobs you could possibly have on this planet.
Yeah, I'd do it.
One day, okay,
100%.
most hops on a pogo stick. Next day, all right, world's longest piss.
You're definitely gonna get a lot of questions at parties, but
then like some of them is like you have to go days because some of them is just record for how long something went.
Yeah. Do you think it's like I don't know how frequently you need a judge. Do you think it's like part-time, like on call kind of a situation or?
For the most part, there are certain ones where as long as you have like video documentation of what you were doing, or if it's like a public spectacle, it's not necessary that you need the judge there for the entire period, but it is there to like officiate. Yeah, this is what it is. This is what it do. That's what it do, Yugi.
Wild. Sorry for the tangent, but continue.
Sure. So, what was the question one more time?
Bad
Well, I
day
mean,
at
you
the
were
office.
you were talking about your coworker pissing in the ocean.
Yeah.
In everyone's corners, I believe.
In
everyone's corners. Not the worst, actually. So, the worst would be the 16 and a half hour dive in a pipe. I kid you not, shoveling sand.
I remember you telling me about that
Mhm.
story.
I got up on a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday morning at 2 a.m. to a phone call. They were like, hey, we're going to go in early. So make your way here. We're going to shove off at 4 a.m. I went, okay, sure. I get there. They're like, hey, we're already packed in. We're going to go. Okay. We get there at like 6 a.m. I get in that pipe. I do not leave that pipe for 16 hours. I had to shovel thousands of tons of sand and nothing but the simple motion back and forth for 16 hours.
I feel like there's a strong chance of like you pulling a muscle or something doing that.
The thing is it's underwater.
So
So
you still pull muscle.
it's not, you can, but like it's not very heavy.
But
It's just a lot of. Imagine
the other thing that actually ran through my mind with that is just the fact that the sand particles would fly up and just
Yeah.
stay in the fucking
Yeah.
water.
Yeah. Imagine blindly, shut your eyes for a minute, right? Now, imagine you're at the beach. Now,
Unless you're
shove
driving,
the
don't-
sand.
If you're driving, don't close your eyes, please.
Don't close your eyes driving now. Come on. But just imagine you're sitting there, completely blind, pushing sand on a beach. That was my life for 16 and a half hours. And the entire time, I'm just like, hey, are you getting sand out of this pipe yet? Yeah, sure. Yeah, keep going.
I guess they didn't want to spring for like a water vacuum.
There's no such thing for this big a project.
Many
Tragic.
water vacuums.
Many water vacuums.
That's the other thing is that this was 15,500 feet of pipe. There was no hose to get it going.
All right.
Man,
Joe.
look, the worst that I've had to do in a day. This was just a comedy of errors. First off, this was back in my restaurant worker days where I was the busser.
Ooh, buzzer job.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
This was on a Sunday morning.
Oh, no.
I was working at Jason's Deli, and on Sunday morning, we have 2 bussers normally. The one guy full quit in the middle of the shift. And I say middle. He actually quit the first hour.
You pulled Avante Davis, quit at halftime.
So I had to pull the job of 2 by myself with so many people angry, like, where's the place to sit? Where's the place to sit? Where? I'm done and done. Let me pull it right out of my ass. And just like, that was the hardest workout that I've ever had to do.
Oh, I'm sure. And you can't, like, with plates and stuff, you can't just, like, rush it because you'll shatter. So you have to kind of take your time in some capacity.
That certainly happened during that because, like, it was one of those days where everything that could have gone wrong did.
What was the glasses? Like, was it, like, actual glasses for the cups or was it, like,
they were plastic
Okay,
cups.
that helps.
Like, yeah, it was much easier. There was, in fact, a time in which some of the plates fell to the ground. I'm just like, I can't worry about this right now. I'll worry about it afterwards. And so this, that, and the other, you get all of that. And then everything got done. I got off at 4. I would have to go back in like an hour or 2 later. But Sunday evenings are chill.
Yeah, because everyone's getting ready for the week.
I was going to go home because my house was like a 5-minute drive away. I was going to take a nap, decompress. I back out and backed into one of my coworkers' cars.
Oh, no.
I got out. I was emotionally devastated and fell to the ground.
Understandable. That's fucking awful.
My coworkers came to see if I was all right, and I just emotionally wasn't.
I'm sorry, Joe.
That's a rough day in the office.
That's so bad. For real? How often have you guys interacted with like people be like, hey, listen, you need to either back off or I'm going to walk out? Like, how many coworkers can you just not mess with because they will just leave, be like, peace out, and
Oh yeah,
just
I had those mainly in security.
In the white collar field, that's not really a thing.
In security, I definitely had some of them because they were military types, and this was not my command.
Yeah, we have a lot of in blue collar work.
Well,
Just people who are like, go ahead, tell me. Like, I kid you not, at one of the restaurants, we had a server. He's like, tell me you don't like SpongeBob one more time. I will walk out of here, and he did. It was like
he's
so
got
petty.
something else going on at that point. That's
Like-
Well, like people just don't care.
Don't like what? That's weird.
All right. Well, with rough days in the office and trying to manage, that does lead us to our topic of the day, the Am I the Boss? Joe, take it away.
Am I the Archenemy? A couple of friends I play with on Tabletop Sim played a 3-player game. One of the guys is around my level of play and power. He has been trying out some new lists lately that he didn't build but sound fun to him, like a Kenrith Knights Voltron Eldridge? I think he meant Eldraine themed deck. And
Or if it's a dredge deck from Eldraine,
you know,
that'd be dope.
that's crazy. Like a Kenrith Knights Voltron / Eldridge themed deck and a Fire Song and Sunspeaker deck. He plays it pretty casually and wins a fair number of times, and wins in fun ways like Aetherflux Reservoir and Happily Ever After. Call this guy Greg.
Okay, Greg.
The other guy at the table plays mostly because we play. He struggles really hard with basic concepts in Magic like mana and the stack. He has a Fennex, Zedru, and a Loro list he had basically completely nut decked with maybe a couple changes here and throughout the 3 years he's had them. Oh my god, this guy is long-winded with his sentences.
Proud of him.
When I say net deck, I mean he sent the list to my local game shop, paid for it, sleeved it up, and that's been that. He has to be almost babysat every game by myself and Greg.
Shout out to that LGS, though.
Yeah, seriously.
Bringing in a 100 card list and they have it all.
Yeah, like, I don't think that's ever happened to me.
I don't think I can go to any LGS and get 100% of the cards. Like, that is so rare. Especially nowadays with like different arts and stuff. Like, no, not a chance.
Yeah. He doesn't pay attention to the game, gets on his phone, doesn't threat assess at all, and always has a vendetta against me because I'm a good player. Call this guy Roger.
Hi, Roger.
I've been extremely angry with the way Roger plays. Since Tabletop Sim, there has been an initiative of making decks we do not own to keep things fresh. As mentioned, Greg has played mostly these 2 decks and a group hug Kenrith deck he wants to check out. Roger, on the other hand, has chosen to play a Crewfix deck, which sounds simple enough but is a headache when he pilots it. But the real deck that pushed me over the edge last night was this Chaos Maelstrom Wanderer list.
Oh, no.
Nope. Go ahead.
I'm playing Lazov Garuda Mill Reanimator. Greg is playing Fire Song. Looking at the game, I got stuck on 2 lands for 5 turns. My mana rocks kept me afloat, but this put me in a bad mood, as it would any player. After a very long game, Greg dies from being milled out because there was a forced fruition on the board from Roger. Greg now changes to spectator mode on Tabletop Sim and effectively tells Roger the next cards to play, except even worse than that really. So once Greg can see Roger's hand in spectator mode, he actively tells him to play the Great Aurora. It resolves, and at this point, I have 6 cards left in my library. He has around 15. I had a Manic Scribe, Thassa's Deep Dwelling, and Strionic Resonator on the board to mill him out in a couple turns. We draw our cards, put our lands into play, and he stares at his hand and Greg gets quiet. I get a Bajuka Bog and exile his graveyard. He then tries to cast Seasons Past. I go quiet because I am frustrated already. Greg then coaches Roger on how to win off of locking me out of playing spells with Force Fruition. He literally tells him the card to play. Roger was completely clueless on what to do to win and would have lost the game if not for Greg. I interrupt them and tell them I am tired and going to get off, and I groan about losing to 2 players before I leave the server. Am I the archenemy? I am tired of having to be the judge, babysitter, and threat assessor at my table. I make every one of my decks with care and character, and I am always engaged in the game. Should I stop playing with them since these problems are recurring? How do I talk to them about this calmly? I feel alienated and like I'm the bad guy all the time, and I don't know what to do. That's rough.
Oh, I have so many problems with all of this.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that all of us have been in that kind of situation at one point or another.
The main thing that I want to know, if I could get a follow-up question with that, is like, are these friends that like just do Magic together? Or are they hanging out and doing like, are you going to
They're
movies
online.
and dinner?
They're online. They're just tabletop sims. So we don't even know if these people do know each other or go see each other in real life.
My main issue is you just need a better play group. If you're trying to be super attentive and you have someone who just doesn't care, it's a 3 pot of 3 too. So if it's in 4-player, you can kind of get away with it. If you're in 3 pod and one person is just doing nothing, you're basically doing dual commander at that point.
Although his argument about, or I'm sorry, his stance about being the only one babysitting is kind of not, I would say, true, only because in the scenario he gave us, the opposing player was in fact doing that and like basically giving him the keys to the castle.
Honestly, Greg going and telling that player what to play,
Messed up and wrong.
yeah.
But that means it's not just you babysitting is all I was getting at as far as this guy. Like it's clearly not only you checking in on this guy. However, the other player should not be doing any type of intense involvement when it's 1v1 when he's dead. And I have a very strong stigma I will get into about towards the end of this one because it's going to be a rant. And I've got strong personal feelings about it. So,
but we had that kind of similar situation last night. But in the case of me being dead and looking over your shoulder, I was just like, I know what I would do with your hand, but I'm not telling you. I just say like, oh yeah, you can win. And that was it. And then after the plays had been made, I would just say, I would have probably done that a little bit differently.
I will say situations like that where you can acknowledge the win. I think I've had a few interactions where I've been in your shoes and I've watched other people. I personally think people need to stop saying that. They need to not tell like, oh, you could win. Like, don't do that because it's going to throw the player off. It threw me off, and I had the line that you were thinking, but you like, oh yeah, it made me think you were talking about something else, and I didn't want the interaction personally of like, oh, maybe he sees something I don't, and you're out of the game because you just lost. I personally just don't like the interaction like that. That's just me.
I think it can be kind of difficult. My number one pet peeve, I think, is like an outside spectator making comments. In the world of chess, like if you make a comment of like, oh, free queen or something like that in a tournament set environment, you could get that person disqualified. So I'm very much of the realm of like, if you are actively in the game, then you can make comments and stuff like that. You shouldn't be looking at other people's hands and things like that. Like if that's more political or like, hey, this person has this out. Like if you kill me, their trampling commander with 24 power is going to wipe you off of the face of the earth. Just letting them know. But if I'm dead and I know that's coming, like I need to just keep my mouth shut and let things play out as they're going to. His only defense here is that these are decks that they're not normally familiar with, and he probably just didn't know the lines or anything because he didn't build it himself. But tell him after the game. It's okay to make mistakes and botch a victory and then learn from that and know like, hey, I could have won that game, but I lost because I didn't know what I was doing. I need to learn this so this does not happen again. That is how you grow as a player. Like sometimes you're going to need to take a loss to adapt and evolve beyond it.
Even if it's not like after the game, sometimes I'll also tell people like after the play is made, when everything is settled, this is the difference that could have made.
Yeah, I agree with like the silent observer and the, okay, now that we're here, this is what I was thinking when I saw this. Like, I've waited till spells resolve and go, okay, now that we've resolved this, why didn't you do X, Y, Z? And either get their reasoning or be like, oh.
Now, with that as well, sometimes I'll even ask, instead of like saying, this is what I would do, I'll ask why they did what they did. Because sometimes I've been in games that I've actually learned things that I didn't realize, I did not know was an option before. And I've actually become a better player from just like asking like, oh, why did you do it this way instead? Like, I think it was a Svella deck. The one makes the manaliths. And he had the
snowliths.
Yes, the snowliths. He had a ability to copy the triggered ability, but he already had a copy of it going to happen anyways. I was like, I'm surprised you're not copying this to get a third one. He's like, I'm gonna hold off on that because I want to see what I get off the first one to see if I want to copy that spell instead of the triggered ability. I was like, that is very interesting. I would not have thought to do that.
And there will be like another good instance of this was like last night, Joe and I were playing a game and we both did our math differently for the Goyf stuff that I had because I was focusing on a few other things that he wasn't, and vice versa. He was like, you could just direct this and do this and possibly kill them. But I was focused on a very different route to the same concept. We were coming to like a very similar outcome when we were looking for the same thing, but our approach was so different.
It is definitely a commander bad habit that we have because like when you're not in the game anymore and you kind of want to still participate in some way, it's really hard to get over the temptation to be like, just kill this thing and you're fine.
Especially if you're like sitting there for like 4 turns.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you either continue to interact with the game in the only way that you can, or you do like what happened with the other player in the second game that we did, and they just left.
I'm down to have an outside conversation, not about my hand or what's going on in the game, because it will throw me off and I will mess up. I can focus on 2 different subjects, but not at the same time.
But kind of looking at this in broad spectrum, who do you think is the archenemy here?
So I'm leaning towards, I think it's like an equal bad situation, because the one player doesn't care. The other player is actively coaching during a game that they were supposed to just be friendly in. And then the third player is tanking it really hard, in my opinion. And I think he just needs to find a group of players that he actually wants to play with instead of the players that he's pretty much forcing himself into. And especially in a 3-player pod.
Yeah, I think it's equal parts. I think that the one player coaching is a terrible example of what people should not be doing. Like, don't do that. Do not coach somebody behind their back in the midst of a game when it becomes a 1v1. Don't take something very, very personally if it's supposed to be educational. This guy is very upset that the guy came back. And like, understandably so, but really shouldn't try to take it personal. It sucks and it does hurt. And you can, as long as you can get over it after the fact, work through the feelings, fun jazz. The other guy, I'm gonna get to my rant now. Do not have new players play a chaos wandering deck. Do not put something that weird and dumb and complex in a brand new player's hand who doesn't know what they're doing, who doesn't want to pay attention. Don't do it.
Okay, but the story was that new player is the one who chose the deck.
I understand. Don't put it in their hands. Don't let them do it. That's a terrible idea. That's an awful idea. I have a vendetta. I understand. This is a very biased perspective. I hate chaos wandering. I hate it. I hate it with every fiber of my being.
Looking back on this here, so I mean he did pick it himself. So
Yeah.
But I think just also if you're gonna do something chaotic, like you'd need to have a strong understanding of the game and how the mechanics work to resolve those kind of spells.
So this is like the only deck archetype to this day that I've only recently decided if this player sits down, I am walking the fuck away.
I heard an interesting take the other day that I really agree with is that chaos decks, from a definition standpoint, are low power because you are not actively trying to win the game. You do not have a coherent way to win the game. You are just trying to do wacky shit and makes it happen.
I love that. I love it.
Because
so
of that is inherently a low power deck. So I do not want to bring a deck that has a plan and strategy to win into a low power game. So if you try to bring out a chaos game, I'm probably not going to want to play with you because my decks are at a higher power level.
There's also just the concept that the writer of the post is just full on looking down on that new player, saying basic concept like the stack. The stack is way more complicated if you're not like getting right into it. Usually the stack is 1 spell, 2 spell, and that's it. If you're trying to say it is basic, it is not. In fact, even more entrenched players can get tripped up by the stack.
Yeah, I live in the stack, and that's a very awful place to be for 90% of people.
Because it can be, in fact, more complicated and not a basic concept.
And yeah, just kind of closing it out here, I think that this person, like, if he just left or just calmly voiced his frustrations about backseat driving, I would be okay with it. But the fact that he was saying he was groaning about losing to 2 players before, that's just petty. You don't need to do that. Let the newer player like kind of collect his win there, even if he didn't get it himself. Greg, which is the newer player, you've got to pay attention.
Roger was the newer player.
Okay, so Roger, you have to start paying attention. Greg, don't be the spectator. So I think everyone's the archenemy here. Like, I think all people involved, like, y'all need 3 different play groups, is what it is.
Also, just the fact that the new player is net decking Phoenix, Zedru, and Aloro.
That's some smoke for some new players.
And then went into Maelstrom one.
I will never, ever again sit down with a Maelstrom Wanderer Chaos player. I refuse.
Moving on here, we're going to get into our topic today. You two are going to play a little game.
Yay! I like games.
Off to the side, I have taken to the internet and I have found a long list that I have compiled down of Commander hot takes. So I had an independent third party do the rankings of the hot takes, but I'm going to read them out in a random order, and you are going to do a blind ranking. What this means is I'm going to give you one of them at a time. You're going to put it 1 through 10. 1 is going to be, this is the coldest take, meaning this is the, I agree with this 100%. I don't see why this is considered a hot take. The 10 is the hottest, which is this is just batshit crazy. And then at the end, we're going to see who's got the closest list to the one who was able to see everything at the same time. Make sense?
Sure. So it's like the difference between calling Elishnorn Ma and calling her Mother. Like one's a much hotter take than the other.
Jesus.
All right, jumping in here. This is in no particular order. Letter A. If someone plays a card or interaction that causes you to lose, the solution is to add things to your deck to interact with it, not just ask your play group to ban the card or interaction.
Do we tell? Are we going to say which ones we're putting them?
Yes, as you're going.
Yeah,
Cool.
no, that's
3.
a 3. That's a 3 for
Oh,
me.
hey, we both went through the same one.
There you go. Okay. All right, so you had that at 3. So
I hope the high five call on the microphone.
Pretty good fact, but not like the factiest fact.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not the
Okay.
factiest fact.
Cool.
Like sometimes it's cool, but yeah.
Letter B. Players should play to lose as fast as possible. Go all out, regret nothing, shuffle up and get another game in.
That's good. 8 for me.
I'm putting it at 6.
Interesting.
Lose fast, shred grass, eat ass.
Just use the freaking letters of the alphabet.
No.
Okay, continue.
Letter C. Land destruction brings much needed balance to the format.
I'm putting that at number 2.
Ooh, that's going to be a 7.
A 7. Okay.
I stand by my statement. I know what I'm about.
Oh my goodness.
Because just because some people agree with that doesn't
Yeah.
mean a good majority of people do.
I'm surprised you didn't put it at 1.
I thought about it, but I'm holding the spot.
That's true. We'll see if that bites you in the ass or not. Letter D. There are no friends in Magic. You have friends before the game starts, and you have friends after the game ends.
Okay, so
that's a 10 for me.
that is also
That is
a 1 for me. That is actually
Interesting.
That's
so
where I stand.
you think it's hard fact. You think it's hard crazy.
Yeah, that is fucking insane.
Okay.
I mean, losing friends over a goddamn game.
No,
No,
Joe.
there are
The statement is we are friends before and after, but while we're in the hot seat, square up.
Nah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's-
No, screw you.
That's fair.
I'm about it. That's
Joe,
fact.
you've got 7, 8, and 10 already filled up. That is, if there's some crazy stuff coming down the pipe, you're going to be in trouble.
You know it.
Letter E. Many commander players need to and would likely be happier if they spend less time and money building their umpteenth deck instead of spending more time and work refining and learning the ins and outs and the ways to pilot the ones they already have.
I think that's a
Joe.
4.
That's-
I know how my deck's pilot, Levi. Don't come at me like that.
I'm
How
gonna
many
put-
decks do you currently have built?
Shut up.
I'm gonna put it at 7 because I don't really believe it's like a 4 or 5 on my list.
I'm putting that at a 4. That's not too far out to just say
It's-
learn the game before you.
I feel
do
it's like above average, but not like crazy. It's not
Okay.
near 10.
Right on. Letter F. If you need multiple free mulligans, you need to lower your curve or add more mana. Do not demand a cheat step.
I'm gonna put that right in the middle at 5.
That's probably a 2, actually.
It's probably 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Less mull, better build.
Yeah, I'm putting that in the middle because sometimes there are just players who just don't know better.
Letter G. Stacks is a healthy part of the format and should be normalized at casual tables. It's good to punish ramp and dirtily do nothing decks.
I'm going to put that at a 6.
Okay. Where would you have put that if you had all the options?
Honestly, I probably would keep it more in the middle
Okay.
because I actually don't think that Stacks is a fun in a casual environment.
Say that whole statement for me one more time.
Stacks is a healthy part of the format and should be normalized at casual tables. It's good to punish ramp and dirtily do nothing decks.
I'm so upset because I want this to be closer to 1, but my only open spot's 4, so I'm gonna get punished for this.
That's the beauty of blind rankings.
No, that's why I said it was like a 6. Like that's exactly where I would put it.
If
Sure.
I had the open options, that might be at number 2.
Letter H. One of my personal favorite ones. Infinite combos are a valid way to win the game. Just about every deck should have at least one infinite combo.
That's going to be a 5 for me. My only spots left are 1 and 9.
0 to 100, my guy. Okay.
So I'm sitting here. I have 8, 9, or 10.
Oh, you are all crazy. Okay.
Right. I think it's crazy. So luckily, it belongs somewhere near these numbers. I just don't know how intensely I agree. You know what? I'm gonna make it my 10.
Okay.
I love how you were like, "Wow, putting your crazy takes up there real high," and I'm like, "This is actually pretty fine."
All
Yeah,
right.
because like I am a firm non-believer that infinite should be in every deck. Like absolutely not.
Letter I. Aggro has all the tools necessary to be a good strategy, but a lot of its best commanders get socially banned for doing so. Examples: Winota, Najila, and Edgar Markov.
That's a 9.
That's a 9. Okay.
Aggro is one more time.
Aggro has all the tools necessary to be a good strategy, but a lot of its best commanders get socially banned for doing so. Winota, Najila, Edgar Markov.
That's
So
a
what
9.
number?
I went with 9 as well.
9. All right. So there's 1 and 10 left.
Yeah.
1 and 8 left.
1 and 8, 1 and 8 for you, and then
1.
okay, 1 and then
8.
Okay. Letter J. Casual EDH sucks, and everyone that enjoys it just enjoys being bad and not being challenged.
Casual
You know?
sucks.
You know, honestly,
That's your coldest take, Joe.
Cold steak, casual sucks. Get used to it, normies.
Oh my goodness.
you know, I'm kind of proud. Not much of this is different than the order I would have put this in. Like I would have shifted some of these down a few, and only one of them moves like a couple spots.
Well,
Yeah, literally, if you just take the one that I put at 1 and then just shift it to the top and shift everything down 1, it'd be fine.
oh my goodness. All right. So this is how the scoring will work. I'm going to read out the letter. If you have it dead on, you get 3 points. If you have it 1 off, you get 1 point to what the actual reality is. Make
Okay.
sense?
I didn't put down the letters.
Which we will take care of that. That's fine.
It's
All right.
okay. I have the letters.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
Well, that helps you.
All right. So now to the scoring here. So we'll see who wins at the end. Number 1 on our list is letter G. Stacks is a healthy part of the format. Number 2, there are no friends in Magic. And that was letter D. Number 3 on the list is if someone plays card or action, deal with it, don't ban it. That was letter A.
Hey, look, that's 3 points for me.
That's also 3 points for me.
Hell yeah.
Number 4, infinite combos are a valid way to win the game. That was letter H.
All right. I was 1 off. That was how many points?
1.
1.
Number 5, if you need multiple free mulligans, you need to lower your curve. That was letter F.
F.
Oh, baby, right on the money.
Very nice.
Show me the money.
Number 6, aggro has all the tools necessary to be a good strategy.
Nope.
What is that one?
Letter I. Number 7, many commander players would be happier if they built less decks instead of more and learned how to pilot them.
Okay.
And that was letter E.
Dang, baby, I'm good.
You got it?
Yeah.
Nice.
I've made 4 points so far.
Hey. Number 8, players should lose as fast as possible.
Oh, hey, look, we're
What is-
shooting up to 7.
What is that letter?
B. It's B.
Yeah. Number 9 is land destruction.
Which is
C.
That was C. And number 10 was letter J. Casual EDH sucks, and everyone that enjoys it enjoys being bad and not being challenged.
So, hey, look, I at least was right on casual sucks being like, let me shift that to 10.
Yeah, that would have helped you. But you have that as your coldest take, Joe.
I didn't think
so being adjacent is the single point, right?
Yeah, if it's directly next to the number, you get 1 point. If it's right on it, you get 3 points. We have a winner. The first round, it is Jacoby with 10 points. Second place is Joe with 7.
Man, who would have thought that casual sucks being the coldest take would have been wrong?
You know, if I would have talked to some CDH players, we might have gotten to help you out. Well, no, it was fun. Was there any takes on here that they existed were a little crazy
Jay?
outside of the casual EDH sucks?
I truthfully think that no friends, even that mindset is insane to me. I truthfully think that you can still be friends inside the game as well.
I get what they're saying. It's not quite that set in stone like you're thinking.
I think the problem with that a little bit from my side is that, like, you have your friends, but like, I think also having inherent biases towards your friends in Commander can also be problematic. If like you constantly favor your buddies versus like a stranger.
There's also the way that I was taking that was that if we are not being friends, I'm going to do the most heinous shit to you, and that could affect a friendship.
No.
That's how I took that.
No, because like saying we're not friends is not the same as saying you are now my mortal enemy. In the middle, Levi is one of my closest friends. He is one of your good friends. You still agree with me that we stab him first.
Yes, but you've also been in situations where we are friends, and then I did something into the game that completely soured you for a night.
But that doesn't.
But that was still a game.
Yeah, but that doesn't. But see, we weren't. But exactly like the statement says, before and after, we're still cool. We're still the best of friends. In that game, fuck you.
I think
that's a fair stance to take.
Right. I think with that, that's kind of the beauty of Commander too, where, I usually see it as like we're all starting out as kind of neutral nations. Like everyone isn't like super close to each other. I'm not super like targeting someone unless it's like I'm playing a slower deck and someone's got like a Uriel or an aggro deck on the board. I'm like, I need to make sure that I get you before you get me. That's kind of a different situation. And then as we're going, like there's certain things I could do in the game that maybe backfire on me, whether it's I get a crackback that game, maybe next game, or maybe just that player is going to have an issue with me moving forward. And I think that's all just a part of it.
And also with like another reason I take the perspective I do is that like for friends, I am willing to do well above and beyond what normal people do for their friends. Like I can't bring that to a game because me bringing that into the game is me going, it's okay, Joe. I have the answer, but I'll let you win with Maze's End, even though I could just continue to try to actually win the game.
Oh no, I was thinking of our deal with your werewolf deck where you got really pissed off after that game.
Yeah, fuck you. But also, again, the whole, like, the way I viewed this statement was before that, we're fine. After that, we are going to be fine.
Stacks being the coldest take, though, that surprised me.
I think that when we'll get into this, at our next episode, Why Your Guild Sucks, that I feel like Stacks is a part of it because if we don't have the ability to slow people down, we're going to get to a point that the game kind of becomes Yu-Gi-Oh! In which things are just crazy explosive out the gate.
But this was casual Stacks. And even casual Stacks, it's not immediate crazy out the gate. I've played many, many games of casual in just the past few weeks where it wasn't Yu-Gi-Oh! Fast out the gate. The only time that really happened was when somebody misread the game and played a Mana Crypt in a casual pod, like that one game that Jacoby and I had.
Do you consider the new precons still casual?
They can still be pretty casual.
Including the Simic one, right?
The Simic one is a little bit stronger, I will say.
But you would still consider it casual, right?
Anything that is not CDH is casual.
Cool. I would consider bringing a Stacks deck 100% against that deck because even though it's especially casual, that deck consistently gets its crazy, ridiculous levels of mana every single game with like terrifying speed.
I would rank the Simic precon as a high power casual.
But like case in point though, and it's still a casual setting where I would look at something like that and be like, Stacks is kind of like the real go-to.
But when people are hearing casual, their mind isn't going to high power, especially when the take was about dirtily decks. The Simic deck wasn't a dirtle deck. It got there a lot of the time.
I think there are some benefits to throwing chip in damage here and there. If like you're ever gonna sit there and do nothing and then absolutely explode by turn 8, like next time I see you, I'm gonna take you out before you can get there.
Basically, that's take, especially because he focused on the decks that actually were slower. He was focusing that Stacks on those slower decks specifically to speed those decks up.
Well, it was a good way to punish ramp decks and stuff too, because we don't have a lot of that. I was about to say,
one
now.
Part of the statement was to punish ramp decks, which is the point I was getting at.
Yeah, some of these decks can get out of hand. I think Stacks is fine. Like, it's not necessarily the most fun thing in the world to play against, but at the same time, if it's really out of hand, then all three players are just gonna kill the Stacks player anyways.
I'd still put that at like a 4.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I get that, but it's in my top 5. Like I would not put it in the bottom 5. The one that I thought was kind of interesting ranked having the aggro has the tools necessary to be a good strategy at 6. And like we do socially ban a lot of good aggro commanders. Like I think that take is somewhat valid in my opinion. I also kind of lump in Voltron with this as well. There are some commanders that we kind of soft ban, like, oh, this deck's gonna be way too fast, where we just kind of let it go to the wayside. But I think that I would put it probably at like 5. My favorite take was the infinite combos are a valid way to win game, because it's like, yes, that makes sense. Just about every deck should have one. No, like,
Yeah.
it was just such
it was they had me in the first half, and then they said that last, and I'm like, no.
It reminds me of, if any of you have seen F is for Family. Like there was a character that he had a dent in his head. He was just kind of like crazy and did sporadic shit. And there was an accident at the airport, and he rushes in and saves everyone. And they're like cheering at him like he's a hero. He's like, yeah. And then he immediately goes, resegregate baseball. And everyone just goes, oh.
Jeez. Man, that is a 10 hot take. Nobody liked that.
Yeah, but just like that same rampage just gives me the similar energies. But
it reminds me, you've been killing me with Hitler's gun.
the whole time. Oh my god.
But yeah, like the casual sucks makes sense. The land destruction being at 9 makes sense. I thought people were warming up a little bit to it. That's why I put it like 7.
Yeah, I think now we have more ways for Armageddon and stuff to win games. Where I think it's a skill issue. Like if I'm in Narset and I'm getting 4 free spells a turn and I Armageddon, like that game's over. You're just not dead yet. But if it's just a casual player, like I got nothing else better to do, let me just blow up all the lands.
Yeah, if it's an Narset or like the new Desert Precon, where it's like, okay, well, I have 30 4/2s, and this is, you have no blocks.
Or honestly, like the Wind Grace that's just going to bring like 2 out of the bin every single turn.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Also, I appreciate that at least at 7, build less decks and know more about your decks is a hot take. Get wrecked.
Well, I think people
build more.
I think people like the deck brewing process. I think you can go overboard. Like I'm very much of if you're going to build a deck and like you're really convicted to do so, look at possibly taking a deck apart you're not using.
But the deck brewing process will also open up your mind to, well, how does that interact? Because it does, in fact, help you learn more about the game. Because then you get like the new Disa, and you're just like, Maskwood Nexus, and I can put like a big creature into my yard?
Open your mind.
Put bagels on all of your stuff.
Free your mind.
But I think at the end of the day, I think this was fun. We'll probably be doing this again at some point in the near future.
Yeah.
For another episode. But yeah, that was some Commander hot takes from around the internet. Blindly ranked here by Joe and Jacoby. And then we will be, this is all the time we have today. So does anyone have any final comments before we go?
Lose fast, shred grass, eat ass.
I will never forgive Wanderer for this.
I don't have anything else I can say to that. All right, we're out of here.
Stupefy.
Guess we're going to know what this episode's going to be called. Anyway, this has been the Thought of the Show. Thank you for tuning in. Y'all have a good rest of your week.
Take care.
Bye.